All
All right, season
right.
one, episode 23, finishing off the final four games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, we have one more episode after this, after the draft. We'll take like a 2 week hiatus, right, Nick? 2 or 3
Yeah,
weeks.
that sounds right. Yeah.
Um,
Excuse me.
so we said last week whoever plays UConn is going to get beat, right? I mean, that was
Right.
the consensus. We were
Right.
right. The point spread was 6.5. You think it's a little light, I hear.
Yeah.
What do you think it should have been?
I thought it should have been like 10 and a half. You
Purdue's the
know?
number one seed. I mean, they're second best
Yeah.
team in the country.
Yeah, but I mean UConn's got there's a lot better players,
Oh no, yeah. UConn's a gauntlet, man. I mean, they
Right.
are tough.
Right.
I mean, I think they're a really good team. I mean, I think they're one of the best teams I've seen since I've been watching basketball, and I've been watching since
Right.
like the Bird Magic game. Since then, I was
Right.
um, and they don't really have any weaknesses, right?
Yeah, they're a tough team. I mean, no doubt about it. I think they beat everybody by 10 point by double digits in the tournament, right?
Yeah. Well, I think most by 20, actually.
Right.
I think Purdue hung with them a little bit. I
Right.
mean, Purdue, they did just, I mean, Hurley's a brilliant coach, obviously. He just said, we're going to let the big boy get as many as he wants, but we're going to shut everyone else down to nothing.
Right. Right.
And I mean, they didn't shut them down nothing, but they were all below their averages, right?
Right.
Because defensively, they're beast. I mean, not only that, but they're bigger, longer, more athletic. Um,
Right.
And Edie got to eat the whole night, but no one else did anything, man. I mean,
Right.
it was kind of sad to see because Edie was trying his ass off, but as much as he did, it still wasn't enough. And the best bet of the night, which I implored my buddy to do it, was 37.5 Edie points plus rebounds and assist.
And
37. Yeah,
and
he had
yeah,
37 points and 10 rebounds, I think, right?
right,
A couple
right,
couple assists. I mean, I think it went
right,
50 total on that number.
right.
I mean, it was
Good
just,
call.
yeah. I mean, I was just, and then I really like when I saw the line. I really liked UConn. I knew Hurley would out coach Matt Painter, who's a good coach, but he comes up small in big moments. I think he always has. I don't think he had any answers for what Hurley was throwing at him. And Hurley's intense, man. I mean, did you see him?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Oof.
yeah,
That's Jersey City coming out
yeah,
right there.
yeah. His father was intense. He's, they're an intense, family of competitors.
Yeah.
They get after it.
And he'll reload for next year. I mean, looking at their top players, Castle's gone. I think he's going to be a one and done guy. He's pretty good. I think
Right,
he's a pro. Klingon,
right.
I think, is gone too. I think
Yep,
he's going to go. Newton's
yep,
definitely gone. He's going to be a
right,
lottery pick. And Caravan, I don't know what he's going to do. Cam Spencer's gone because
right.
he's
He's exhausted his eligibility.
yeah, I mean, he played like 6, 7
Yeah,
years in college. Unbelievable.
yeah,
That kid Johnson's pretty good, the backup center,
right.
and then Daria, Muhammad Daria, who was okay. But he'll go in the portal. He's got some guys coming in. He'll be fine, man. He's a good coach.
Right.
That's, I think, what really makes him good. Like, I mean, so they got to be considered one of the top programs in the country, right? At this point.
Yeah, I mean they've got I think we were 6 titles in the last 25 years. I mean at that point, yeah, you're a blue blood,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
pretty good. That's, I mean, even with three different coaches too on top of it.
Right.
Um, and what do you think were the two better teams? And the Rip Hamilton teams, I guess, were pretty good.
I think maybe the two earliest teams, I think 99 and 2004 was Okafor and Rip Hamilton, I think, and
That was
Um,
the '04 team. The
right,
'99 team, I think, was the Ray Allen team, right?
right, right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah. But that's when Jimmy Cena was in charge, though.
right,
All right.
right,
He
right,
was he was running a nil program
right,
back then.
right,
All right.
right.
Um, so I mean, you know, I don't know. We talked about let's talk about what do you think is the kind of the best teams ever that I've seen. I can't go back to the '50s because I wasn't
Yeah,
born.
no, no, of course, yeah,
So just in terms of what I've seen, and highlights and stuff, I really like that UNLV team. I thought they were explosive.
right,
The grandmama teams of
right.
'90.
So, yeah, it's come out. So you're talking about the Greg Anthony, Anderson Hunt, David Butler, George Eccles, Stacy Augman, and Grandmama Larry Johnson.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was a pretty good team, and they
right,
flew up and down the court.
right,
And to be honest, Duke beating them in '91 was huge.
right, right. It was a key. Yeah,
I mean,
Duke had to beat them, otherwise Duke wouldn't have been taken seriously. They
yeah,
had to take out Vegas.
right, right, because they got blown out by 30 some the year before.
Right, right.
Um, then the 12 Kentucky team had Anthony Davis on it, right?
That's
And
right. Yeah,
and I think it had did it have John Wall on that team too?
I think that's right. Yeah,
That team was pretty loaded too.
right,
And I think this UConn team's got to be included in that, man. When we talk about loaded or great teams, I think we look at how they turn out to be pros,
right,
but we're rating them in college, not in the pros. But I
right,
think some of these UConn guys are going to be pretty decent pros. And the Duke guys were not decent pros, so we'll still have them on our rankings.
right, right.
Um, what did you think about the girls team, the girls game? Did you watch any of that?
Yeah, I watched it. I mean, it's obviously women's basketball has come a long way, and obviously from the ratings, a lot of people agree with that. Um, there's Dawn Stanley. She's like a superpower. I mean, she's getting to be the female John Wooden at the age of 54.
Yeah.
She keeps rolling like this, and
Philly's own Don Staley
yeah, yeah, Philly's own Dawn Staley.
in
I
University of
mean,
Virginia, right, Nick?
yeah, University of Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got multiple Olympic gold medals. She's got South Carolina was. I don't think they had some tradition, but not a lot when she got down there, and she's just a powerhouse. I mean, you can't stop her. She might be the best coach in basketball right now. And
Yeah,
she's
no, there's no doubt. I mean, she's got the best team. There's no doubt about that either. I mean,
right,
I was happy to see Caitlin competing with her, and God bless her. But there's no way those other players on Iowa were going to compete with South Carolina.
right,
Another really easy bet. I haven't bet much lately, but that game screamed blowout from when you looked at the rosters. I mean, they got
right,
these little 5'10", 5'8" jump shooters. And
right,
South Carolina's got a bunch of 6'3", 6'4" women,
right, right, right,
powering on them. There's no way.
right,
I mean, and
right.
then Cardozo, the Brazilian, 6'7",
Yeah,
and they had no answers for her. I mean, she had
right,
17 boards. She was dominant. Caitlin gave it her all, and I mean, she's unbelievable shooter, unbelievable player. I didn't never realize how good of a passer she is, man. She is really, I mean, and they fumbled a bunch of her great passes. I mean,
right,
she was dropping it down low, fast breaks, chest passes. I mean, really snapping off some passes, and they couldn't finish. And when they tried, they got blocked, because they're so much smaller. I think that's what's going to make her a good pro is
yeah,
her handle and her ability to pass. Obviously, her shot's going to be there also, but those other parts of her game are really impressive, man. I didn't realize
right,
how good of a passer she
yeah.
was.
She's a fantastic player.
Yeah,
I mean, I was thinking with Dawn Staley. I mean, the only person who's like comparable is Jerry
Gino.
West. He
Oh,
had like success as a player, great success as a player. and great success in the front office. He coached, but only a little bit. You know,
Yeah, yeah. I
she's
thought
amazing.
in
I
terms of
mean,
college basketball women's, I mean, Gino
yeah,
Auriemma's got to be talked about. I mean, he's got
right,
11 titles.
right,
The guy wakes up in the mornings in the Final Four. I mean,
right, right, right,
no matter. I mean, he lost 4 starters from this year's team to injury, and they
right,
still were in the Final Four. That guy can
right,
coach too. Um,
right.
so I was happy to see him, but once again, he doesn't have enough. He didn't have enough horses to beat Iowa, even though Iowa's smaller than his team. But
Right,
he had too many people hurt. That
right.
team's going to be dangerous next year. I mean, South uh,
UConn, yeah,
UConn, yeah. So they had the men and the women in the final. So did NC in the Final Four. So did NC State. That's kind of cool.
right.
Um, any other teams you want to discuss about the best teams? I mean, the Bill Walton teams obviously are pretty good, right? I mean, three
Yeah, but
championships.
you're right though. I mean, just like let's stick to what we've seen. So if we start with the Magic Bird, Irvin Magic Johnson and Larry Bird championship
Yeah,
in 1979 in Salt Lake City, that's a good starting point. So that sort of kicks out the UCLA teams. And then, like you said, you have UConn, you have the Duke to 1991, 1992 team,
yeah.
um,
How
the
about the
Florida.
UNC '82 team?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Worthy, Jordan, Perkins.
right,
There was
right.
someone else on that team that was
Jimmy
really
Black, Matt Doherty.
yeah. Doe was on
Yeah,
that team, right?
yeah,
Can UNC
yeah,
hire him again as their coach?
yeah, yeah.
What a disaster that was. We
Right.
beat them by
He's
40 in Kofi House. I've never been happier in my life.
he's never been seen again.
No, 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 he's done after that. Doe.
Yeah,
That was a good team. That '82 team was
yeah,
obviously stacked with pros and great college players.
right,
So let's get to find out who's the biggest underdogs to win it, Nick.
right. So you sent a list and you got, I think you got everybody. You got uh 1966 UTEP, University of Texas. I think they were called Texas Western then
Yeah,
at Cole Fieldhouse.
yep.
Um,
They were
and
a
then
big
you have,
big underdog, right?
yeah, I think they were, I'm sure they were a big underdog against, a blue blood like Kentucky.
Right.
And then NC State, which 1983 NC State, which was the Jimmy Valvano NC State team that's chronicled in the Survive and Advance 30 for 30 on ESPN, which
Yeah.
is very good. And then you have the 1985 Villanova team, which you brought, who sort of limped into the tournament. They got crushed by Pittsburgh the Sunday before the Big East tournament. They lost by like 40. And then
They went on a
they
run.
turned it around. They beat Maryland in Birmingham.
They
They
did. Like two.
right. And then they beat it was Memphis State in the Final Four in Kentucky, Lexington, and then the final game they played Georgetown, a team that they knew they played them many times, and they just played out of their minds that night, and they won. But yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
what
huge up.
they shot like 70-80% from the field that
Yeah,
night.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, and Georgetown was loaded. That was a
Right,
loaded Georgetown team with
right.
Ewing leading the
Yeah,
pack, all the dudes they had on that team.
right,
I mean,
right,
Villanova had Ed Pinckney was their tallest guy at 6'10", but
right,
everyone else was like 6 foot probably, right? I mean, they're
right, right, right,
little guys. But that was a great W. That was I remember watching that game in Georgetown at a bar in Georgetown, and they lost, and I was like, oh, this is gonna sting, man. I couldn't believe they lost that game.
right.
And then you mentioned the '88 Kansas team, but so now we're going back, what, 26 years, right?
36 years, 36 years.
36 years since we've had a major upset.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I mean, what do you attribute that to?
I'm not sure. I don't have any answers. I don't know.
I just think
Um,
the good teams have gotten better. I've told you
yeah,
this earlier in the year, and the bad teams have also gotten better, but they're just not as good. You got to have fucking players, man. I mean,
right,
bottom line is you
yeah,
have to have players. I mean, you just
right,
do to compete at that level. And the more players you have, the more you can compete. Because when you look at the championship winners, they've all been like 30 game winners. 30, the teams have won 30 games in a year. Like
right,
30 and 4, 30 and 6, 32
right,
and 2, 34.
right,
No undefeateds, but really a lot of unbelievable teams that, you know,
right,
there's going to be upsets, but to make it all the way through is tough to win. Was it 6 games, right? As an
right,
underdog is tough. You're going to win some, but to win six in a row, you have to have some players, man. I'm sorry, but you do. Um, so part of the talk on Monday night was that Edie's not an NBA player. If I'm an NBA GM, I'm drafting him. I'm
right.
sorry.
There's
I
not
think
that
he's
many
an NBA
seven.
player.
There's not that many 7 foot guys walking the earth. I mean, he can
Seven
play.
foot four, 7 foot 4,
Yeah,
and he can play. He's not a
yeah,
goofy 7'4". He's a
right,
coordinated. I mean, worst case scenario, he'll get you 10 to 15 rebounds a night and block 3 or 4 shots. Worst case.
right,
That's if he
right.
doesn't score a bucket.
I'll sign for that. Where do I
Yeah,
sign?
exactly, man. I mean, but they're talking like Klingon is a better NBA prospect than Edie because he's 7'2". I'm like,
Well,
I don't, at that point, I don't think it matters, but I think Calipari is way ahead of the curve in terms of, I mean, Calipari, what I'm talking about. I mean, Edie is way ahead of the offensive curve that Klingon is. He's not even close. I mean, Klingon doesn't have
right.
the game that he has. So that was an interesting topic that they were talking about, and I think Edie took it personally. Um,
Yeah. I'm,
and
he's right to take it personally.
and the big news coming out of Lexington, Kentucky,
Yeah, on Sunday night.
again, a
On
head
Sunday.
scratcher.
Right.
What do you got, Nick, on this? Calipari to
So, so I guess, well, like we talked about last week, um, this all started. SMU fired Rob Lanier, who was a good coach, because
yeah.
they're going to the ACC and they want to start anew. So they brought in Andy Enfield from Southern California, USC, who's probably not as good a coach as Rob Lanier is, but so be it.
And it's a lesser job. You
Right,
want to be
right,
the SMU? Are you kidding me? Lesser job.
right, right. So Andy Enfield's now at SMU in Dallas, and Eric Musselman, the son of the Muscle,
Right.
um,
Little muscle. We're gonna call him
Little
Little Muscle.
Muscle. Bill Musselman, his father was the Muscle. Um, so his Eric Eric left Arkansas and went out to the beach at USC, and then I guess
That's an
you
upgrade, by the way. That's an
yeah,
upgrade.
yeah, and then I guess Arkansas's athletic director was looking around, and he's looking at Chris Beard at Mississippi. I think you might have told me that.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday night, out of the blue, I guess over the weekend, he called Calipari, or Calipari's people called him, and I guess he said he would consider leaving University of Kentucky for Fayetteville, and
And
and I guess
cash
it
and
came,
cash considerations.
yeah, and cash considerations. We're gonna show your detective work here, everyone. This is Coach Calipari's contract right here.
Yeah.
It's not signed, but it's legit.
Oh,
It's
it is
with
signed.
the.
One of the pages are signed,
Oh, okay.
but they
And then
blacked it out, the signature.
right, and then so the employment agreement between Coach Calipari and the University of Arkansas, and it starts yesterday, April 9th, and it runs through the end of April 2029. And he's the coach of the Razorbacks basketball team right now,
Yep.
which now opens up the job at Kentucky, which is really, let's face it, it's the best job in the country because
I don't
there's
know.
no
I think top three. Top three.
there, right.
I wouldn't call it
I
the
mean,
best job.
when I say that, I mean because there's no fan base that's as crazy as Kentucky.
Right.
Not
They're the
Alabama
worst. The
football,
worst.
not Ohio State football,
Yeah, they're the
not the
worst.
Steelers.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Yeah, they're the worst.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
right,
agree. I agree. Kentucky basketball fans, the worst fans in the country.
right,
But I don't. I wouldn't. I would put the UNC job over that job.
right,
I think UNC is a better job than that job, but it's up there. UCLA, I think, is a better job, and then I would put that number three. But
right,
that's me. All right, so
right.
I'll take it from here. So I've been
Okay,
watching this Kentucky thing open up. Threw out some names to you on Sunday night when it opened up, or Monday, whatever it was. And I threw out Billy Donovan, Nate Oates, Scott Drew. I threw out there thinking that he was ready for a change because he's done some really good things at Baylor, and he's a great coach. And
right,
this is the kind of job you leave Baylor for after you've been there for whatever 12, 14, 15 years he's been at Baylor, which he turned around from Dave Bliss, who was a complete dirtbag who I think
criminal,
killed a
yeah,
player or hit
oh,
a
yeah,
or something,
yeah,
right? He did something really
right,
messed up.
right.
Um,
No, one player killed another, and he covered it up.
okay, I knew there was a murder involved.
Right,
So he cleaned up that mess unbelievably. I always thought that Maryland should have interviewed Scott Drew for the Maryland job 2 years ago. They didn't. Not sure why. Scott Drew was offered the Louisville job, and he was so turned off by the way they treated Kenny Payne that he said, "I'm not going there. Your fan base doesn't deserve a coach
right,
of my caliber with the way you
right,
treated a fellow coach." Now Kentucky didn't do Calipari wrong because I've been calling for his firing for the last couple of years, and this year I said, "Is he in the hot seat?" And then he got which I thought he should have been after they lost to Oakland, and the fact that
right,
he really hasn't done anything, man. I
right.
mean, it's been a joke. So I do think that Scott Drew's been offered the job, boatload of money, 10 million a year or some crap. It's just a shitload of money. I think they haven't offered to Donovan yet. I think Nate Oates has turned it down because of he's got like a $18 million buyout. So
Yeah, I think he just signed a new contract.
he
Son
decided,
of a
yeah, that
bitch.
doesn't matter, Nick. We
Yeah,
have ADs leaving a month after taking jobs, Nick. All right.
right,
That doesn't matter.
right,
They signed a new contract. I think what matters is the buyout in that
right,
contract, $18 million. So if they don't get Drew, which apparently his family is having some apprehension about, 'cause he's got a kid at Baylor, he's got two kids in high school, and a wife who likes being in Waco because it's in the middle of nowhere and nobody knows they're there, right? She's
right,
very introverted, apparently, according to this report.
right.
I
Well,
mean, if
that's
she
fine.
goes to
That's fine. That's a
Lexington,
legit concern.
it is. If she goes to Lexington, it's a small town as well, but everyone will know who she is, where she eats, where she goes to the bathroom, where
Right,
she does everything. Because Lexington, it's Kentucky basketball and horse racing,
right,
and
right,
not in that order,
right,
depending on the season.
right,
So I think if they don't get Drew, I think Billy Donovan is a strong possibility, especially as the season's wind down for the Bulls. They're like in the
right,
playing game. They're probably going to lose that. They'll be out of the playoffs here next week.
right.
I think it'll be Billy Donovan taking that job.
Well,
So
he's definitely, he's the man. He checks all the boxes.
he's
You
interested
know.
too, and he's interested.
Okay.
I know they were going to go after Hurley, but they never did. I think Hurley's happy where he's at. I wouldn't leave if I was Hurley either. He's a Northeast guy. You're not going to Lexington, even though
Right,
Patino did it and Calipari did it. They're Northeast guys as well.
right.
I think Hurley would be a great hire for them and probably kill it there. I'm glad they're not getting him. I think Scott Drew is going to do well there too if he takes a job. Billy Donovan's been out of the college game for a while. The landscape has obviously changed since he was in
Dramatically.
Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that may be a learning curve for him, but it's an interesting job and a really, really good job that I didn't see coming open, man. And I mean, Calipari's making even money at Arkansas. It's not less money because he's getting 6.5 million plus 500,000. So he's 7 plus a $1 million signing bonus. And all these bonuses, if he like makes a tournament, just makes a tournament, he gets 50. If he gets to the
Right.
Sweet 16, he gets like 300, $250,000. I mean, there's a lot of money at stake here. He's probably
Right.
going to make somewhere between 7.5 and $8 million next year.
Yeah.
Same money he was making at Kentucky. So it's not a money thing. I think it's a prestige thing. That job is not Kentucky. I'm sorry, it's just not.
Yeah. No place is. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but that is an interesting story to keep an eye on because we'll have to monitor how that goes down because if they miss on Drew and they miss on Donovan, they might have a problem on their hands.
Yeah.
And I threw out some
I
other
think you're
names
right.
that were, let me see. I threw out some other names that I thought were kind of out there. Let me see, Nick, where are my notes?
All right.
Like Mike Pelfrey, I threw out there that I thought
Right.
he might get a look. There's a couple Kentucky guys that are out there now. Sean Woods. These are coaches that are out there coaching that are
Right.
Kentucky guys, you know.
Right.
Maybe they
Right.
go that direction for an alum.
Right.
I don't know. It's a great job, and someone's going to grab it. I could see maybe somebody like who's the guy at Pitt right now? The Dookie at Pitt.
Capel? Jeff
Yeah,
Capel?
I could see Jeff Capel looking at that job. But we'll have to see. All right, so we talked about the final game. Great, I mean, back-to-back winners for UConn, man. That's
Right.
unbelievable. You were 2-0 in the Final Four. Great job. You picked both, and you were 3-0 for the weekend. Nice work. I was 0-2 in the Final Four, and I won the final game. We both picked UConn.
All
So
right.
for the tournament, we're both 39 and 23.
So that's a beautiful thing, huh?
It's
It's good.
unbelievable. I mean,
It's
dead
great.
even, dead
Right.
even. Um,
Right.
I really thought Alabama would play UConn tougher. I think they did until UConn just kept pounding them, man. Just
Right.
kept pressing the issue, and Alabama finally screamed uncle and then got rolled. Um,
Right.
and then NC State didn't even show up. They had nothing. I mean, I thought they were going to beat Purdue, but that NC State team that won in the Elite Eight was not the same team that beat Duke. That was a different team showed up to the Final Four, and maybe they were just happy to get there. I don't know, but they didn't play very well.
Right.
They were just, I don't
No,
know.
no. What you said last week, I mean, when you went through your rationale for betting NC State, it added up. It wasn't like some crazy
No,
off the
no.
wall
Yeah, I thought
shit.
about it. Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
about it. I thought this is what could
Right.
happen if they do these things. I think they could beat Purdue. But they didn't. Their other players didn't step up. The big boy didn't step up. He played okay. Burns played okay, but he was
That's
kind of like sleepwalking through the game, man. He was like
right.
laughing and just chucking it from the hip. He didn't
Right.
care. It's like this
Right.
is the Final Four, man.
Right.
Show a little something. Um,
Right.
so and the rest of the team didn't play very well either, except for like one of their guys played okay, but that was it.
Right.
And that's the season, man. It's a good
Right.
year.
Good
Um,
year. Terps got to do better next year, but good season.
Yeah, yeah, Terps, they're loading up in the portal right now, man. They've lost like 4 or 5 guys, which is good because they were like dead weight and they needed their scholarships. And then they picked up they got 2 guys that are really nice ball players, and they're looking at a couple more guys right now to come
All
in.
right.
So they're gonna pick up 4 from the portal, and they got 2 rookies coming in. One of them is a top 10 player who won the McDonald's All-American last week, Derek
Right.
Queen, otherwise known as
Right.
DQ.
DQ from Baltimore.
DQ. Be more, right?
Right.
So we'll see. So this wraps up the college basketball season. There's no more
Right.
games, there's no more talk. We'll be back. I get what is the draft? The 27th, 28th? What is it?
2 weeks from tomorrow. So the
So that'll
5th?
be the 25th, 26th, 27th. So we'll do the draft the following week. So it'll be like early May, right? Late April,
Yeah,
exact date. And then we're done for the year.
right.
Couple items on that. We're looking for sponsors. If anyone wants to sponsor the show, reach out to me or Nick and let us know. We'd love to have you as a sponsor. It will cost you some money. We'll throw a couple commercials up about your company. We'll mention them. That'd be great for us. We don't care. We really want to, we don't need the money. We want to take the money to use it maybe to help with our IT support. We're going to have to make the show a little bit cleaner next year, which I'm looking forward to doing that. The other thing is I like to wear gear from a university every week, you know. And I don't want to retread the gear I have, but I think I've exhausted all my gear. I mean, I think
Right.
like today I'm wearing the Masters. It is Masters week, and it's actually the 15-year anniversary of me, Ian, Yato, and Adam going to the Masters in 2009. So pretty
Who do
sick.
you like this week? Who's your pick?
I have a little juice on it, by the way. If I had to pick like a guy, not I bet a bunch of like crazy picks
Okay.
because let me look real quick
All
because
right. All right.
the odds on them winning are really high. Like Ian, my son took Mickelson to win it. He's at 25,000 to 1. So $10 gets you $2,500.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good bet. I mean, he was second place last year. So let me see. So those are his. I like Sergio. He's at
Right.
11,000 plus 11,000. Um, if I had to make a pick right now, I would say Jason Day or Will Zalatoris are the two picks I would make right now,
Okay.
with a dark horse of Matthew Fitzpatrick. Those would be my
Okay.
picks, and those are all higher guys. I got some money on Rory too, but
All right.
how about you? Do you have somebody you like there?
No idea. I haven't even looked at it for a minute.
Okay. So if you have some gear that you want me to represent your universities, let me know. I'll wear it. XL or double XL will be preferred sizes. Um, so let me know if you want to send your university only. I don't wear any pro stuff, just university type gear. That would be great. I know we have a bunch of fans and friends out there watching that didn't go to our schools or went to some remote school. I'd love to wear a remote school. We're trying to, capture the whole spirit of the college game, right?
Right.
College and pros. If you want to send some to Nick, I think he probably takes the same size as me. You can send some to him. But that's it. That's the show. We're looking forward to coming back next year or in a couple weeks, but then after that, we'll be off for like 3-4 months
Yeah.
until Labor Day.
We'll crank it up in August.
Which the plan is I'm going to uh, Penn State, West Virginia, Labor Day.
Oh, are we going to USC, LSU in Vegas?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
I got two invites. I got
Okay.
two invites on the same weekend. Yes. So
Okay. No, no problem. No problem if we're going to Penn State. Just let me know so I can.
No,
I
that
can.
game's at West Virginia. I've never been to a game at West Virginia.
Oh,
So
well, yeah, it's great, man. It's great.
we might go that direction. I'm leaning toward
Right.
that direction.
Okay. Okay.
Because Vegas is not just going to the game. Vegas is Vegas.
Right. Right.
You need a week afterwards to recover.
Some of us need 2 weeks.
So that's kind of where we're at, everybody. So thank you for following
Yeah,
us.
thank you. Thank you very much for sharing the seasons with us. And
Yeah.
we look forward to seeing everybody back in August.
Yep. Well, we got one more show, and then we'll send off for the next show. But it's been a lot of fun
Right.
covering
Amen.
covering the games and being involved in it and watching it. I've watched more college football and basketball than ever in my life this year. It's been kind of fun, actually. It's been it's a hobby of sorts, and it's been a really good time. And talking about it every week's been a blast. Thank you, Nick, for sharing that with
Oh,
me.
thank you, Fernando. You did the lift.
All right. I'll talk to you in a couple weeks, Nick. Are you gonna
Okay.
come? Are you gonna come You're coming that weekend, right?
Yeah, for the spring game.
Yeah, maybe we'll film while you're here.
Okay, man.
That might be the because the draft will be just finishing up on Saturday, right?
Yeah, we'll work it out.
Yeah, yeah. All right, man.
All
Talk
right.
to you. See you,
All
Nick.
right. Take care, brother.